For the record, I like Uwe. Please don't hurt me.
Hello, fellow netizens, and welcome to Scandalous Games, the show where we take a closer look at video game-related controversies. I'm Kevin Impellizeri, and I do the research and share a story of a video game-related controversy to my friends.
I'm Andy Hunter, a longtime fan of all things Nintendo.
I'm Kate. I've been writing software for over 10 years, but not the fun kind.
And here we are, the thrilling conclusion of our look at Uwe Boll's Postal and Postal 2. Last time, we looked into Uwe Boll's first attempt to return to Paradise, Arizona with his 2013 Kickstarter campaign, where he attempted to finance a sequel to his Postal movie. However, as we covered last time, Uwe Boll fell quite short of his goal. His goal was $500,000 over a 60-day campaign, one that only earned $29,977 across 378 backers. So it would appear that the dream was over for Postal 2. However, as I left things on our last episode, was the dream over? Surprisingly not. And today, we're going to go through one more try that Uwe Boll attempted to make this Postal 2 sequel. In doing so, we'll talk a little bit about what Uwe Boll was doing after this, his exit from filmmaking, and his surprising return to filmmaking. So I hope you're all ready for that journey.
Uwe Boll's full of surprises. Presumably, he knew a dentist who had just pulled a lot of teeth and wanted somewhere to put all that tooth fairy money.
Yeah, I'm curious where his Third Avenue came from here.
All right, here we go. So let's establish a little bit of context here. So, pulling behind the curtain of the writing of this, I thought that the Kickstarter was going to be the end of our story when I started this. Back when I researched Uwe Boll, back when we did the episode all those years ago, I thought this was going to be the end of it. And then I started looking into it more recently, and I found, a surprising new chapter of this. So why don't we get into it? So with that, we need to skip ahead about 11 years to September 1st, 2024. So what's Uwe been up to between the failed Kickstarter campaign and September the 1st, 2024? Over the years since the Postal 2 campaign, Boll found himself increasingly disillusioned and frustrated with filmmaking. For example, during his third of 3 failed crowdfunding campaigns to finance the last movie in his Rampage trilogy, he published a 1-minute, 28-second rant with the pithy title, "Fuck You All," where he railed against crowdfunding and all the people who would rather give, quote, $600,000 if you make a movie about some R word. He likes using the R word. I don't. $600,000 if you make a movie about some R-word visit in the forest or for another whatever Marvel Avengers bullshit dirt. So goodbye and goodbye Hollywood, end quote. I still don't know what he's talking about.
Sounds like he's threatening to take his ball and go home, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, they're two different things. On the one hand, sure, yes, in Hollywood, most of the money goes to blockbusters. But no Marvel movie has ever been kickstarted. So, I don't know. It seems like these are two different things. You can either complain Hollywood won't shell out money for the movies I want to make, or you can complain people didn't kickstart Postal 2 when I wanted them to. But those are two different complaints.
The thing that mystifies me, yeah, there is that issue. The thing is his whole, like, visit in the forest thing. I have no idea what he's on about with that. But yeah, so he doesn't take this very well. He did eventually manage to wrap production on the film, which was released in 2016 under the title Rampage President Down, and followed through on his threat to quit the business. He confirmed his plans to retire from filmmaking in late October 2016, citing the changing film market and the decline of DVD sales. And over the next several years, Uwe threw his attention into 2 passions. The first was owning and operating Bauhaus, his German-themed restaurant in Vancouver, which I looked into Bauhaus. It's pretty well reviewed. All things considered, apparently it's a pretty decent place to go. I don't know if it's still in operation anymore, but I found some positive reviews for Uwe Boll's German beer hall in Vancouver.
Well, yeah, I feel like there are a lot of celebrity-owned restaurants that are just, I found this chef who's food I like, and then I just paid for them to come, manage this kitchen, and I slapped my name on it, and my name gets people in the door, and this good chef's food actually gets them to come back.
Okay, because I'm a hack and a fraud and I did not research this in advance, I just Googled it now. Bauhaus is no more. It is closed.
Oh,
So that was just one of his passions he focused on was this restaurant. He also had a different passion that he devoted his time to, being an angry reply guy online.
Checks out.
Seems consistent for him. For example, he was on Letterboxd for a time. It's kind of interesting. Like the turn he made, he was very mad at film critics to the point he would beat up some film critics physically. And eventually he decided to become an online critic where, not unlike his snarky online critics that he, assaulted in the ring, he also posted a bunch of trolling reviews. He put out on Letterboxd hundreds of reviews, and all of them trolling, in between getting kicked off the site numerous times. He was kicked several times off Letterboxd. He also attempted to launch several Twitter feuds, including accusing director Paul Thomas Anderson, not to be confused with Paul W.S. Anderson, who does direct video game movies, but Paul Thomas Anderson, of stealing the movie poster design for the Phantom Thread from Boll's first Blood Rain movie. He claimed that they were exactly the same and that Paul Thomas Anderson had ripped him off.
I'll punch your drunk love.
He also challenged InfoWars conspiracy monger Alex Jones to a boxing match that same year.
for what reason?
What was the reason? Hold on. I can find the tweet he sent to police.
Oh my God, I would love it if Uwe Boll were actually defending the Sandy Hook kids.
Oh man.
That would be a twist.
All right. Apparently Alex Jones was in the business of challenging people to boxing matches, and this is from Uwe Boll from April the 7th, 2018. Male vitality my ass. And this is all in caps spelling. Retweet all over the net until fat pussy ass respond to Uwe Boll boxing challenge. If Alex Jones can challenge others to boxing match, he can accept my challenge. Retweet the world over and write all your fave news outlets so this happened.
So it was because Alex Jones had a reputation for challenging people to boxing matches. Uwe wanted him to challenge him.
So I'm reading this, and I'll put this in the notes. There was a Yahoo article that talked about the context of this. Apparently, this is because, Alex Jones likes to sell supplements on his show. Most of those supplements are made by his dad, by the way. They're called like Dr. Jones Naturals. And I guess Uwe didn't like this and decided that that was an incentive to try to, box Alex Jones. And apparently, Alex Jones never responded. So on April the 10th, 2018, Uwe posted the following on Twitter. Alex Jones is a chicken, a pure coward who is pissing his pantaloons. Won't even respond to Uwe Boll's boxing challenge because he is pussified. If Alex was a man, he would address the challenge and respond, Uwe Boll, the champion of the people, end quote.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's so interesting because so many of Uwe Boll, so much of his personality seems to speak to that same aggrieved sense that Gamergate, and which eventually turned into broader white right-wing incel culture and stuff. But yeah, so it is just so weird to see him taking on one of the biggest right-wing grifters of all.
And for what appears to be no discernible specific reason, like no personal slight, no, just like, I'm looking for someone to fight,
Yeah, it's like he did it just because. To which I have 3 words to say. Let them fight. Come on, Alex.
I mean, I think inarguably Alex Jones has done more harm to society than Uwe Boll ever has. So yeah, I would happily have.
Oh yeah,
Boll
make
kick
no
his ass.
mistake. I'm not saying like, why is he bothering poor little Alex Jones? I was just more curious about like what provoked this particular interaction.
Yeah. I would pay money to go see this. What's that joke? I think it was in The Onion. It was like the worst person ever actually has a good point.
Yeah.
This is very much that. Like, I don't think Uwe Boll's a great person. I think Alex Jones is the worst person. And I wouldn't mind seeing maybe, I wouldn't mind.
Can somebody introduce Uwe Boll to Elon Musk, and like the two of them will probably immediately get into a Twitter beef and both want to duke it out.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk, likes to start fights, and then he challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a boxing match, online, and Zuckerberg, who actually does training, said, "Sure, name the time and place." And then I believe Elon Musk got very quiet and never said anything again, and presumably also blocked him off from Twitter.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, then that could be like the good outcome. Either they're going to get into a fight, and Uwe Boll will beat up Elon Musk, or Uwe Boll will no longer be on Twitter.
Yeah. Whoever loses, we win.
mhm.
But yeah, that is actually something they both have in common. They both love Elon
Well,
Musk,
and
by the way.
Elon is trying to do a restaurant right now, so he could take some tips from Uwe about like what not to do. You've heard about this, right? The Elon Musk restaurant.
I have not.
Yeah, we don't have to get into it.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, Uwe picking fights everywhere. And he was kicked off Twitter in 2019, reportedly for calling someone a gay slur. However, you'll be happy to know that Elon's marketplace of ideas found space for Uwe and brought him back, where these days he mostly signal boosts MAGA talking points in between begging Elon Musk to come on his podcast, thus proving the point that behind every right-wing influencer lies a failed entertainer.
Yeah, yeah. Uwe is just the one who's. I mean, he's, I guess, the most successful though of all of these failed entertainers. Like a Ben Shapiro, you'd have to dig to realize that he actually wanted to be an actor and writer. Uwe Boll is like, oh no, he managed to release several movies that made enough money that he could keep making more.
Ben Shapiro's probably miffed that he never got approached to be in an Uwe Boll movie. I'm very affordable.
I'll work for scale. Okay, speaking of failed entertainers, Uwe is podcasting now because of course he is. He launched his first show, Uwe Boll Raw, in 2015, where he co-hosted with longtime collaborator Gary Otto, the guy who was on the Kickstarter begging people because, if we don't get this money, we won't get a Blood Rain 4. And Uwe eventually built his own podcasting network that currently consists of 3 shows, where Uwe talks about film, politics, and whatever else comes into his head.
Well, it's just like I always say, those who can do, and those who can't podcast. Whoa, oh my gosh, the glass wall of my house just shattered.
So Uwe, he becomes a content creator. He also, in 2022, got back into filmmaking. They kept pulling him back in. He got the filmmaking itch again. And in 2022, he released his first movie since Rampage President Down, a self-proclaimed, quote, psychological profile of the first QAnon mass murderer, end quote, called Hanau, Deutschland in Winter, Part 1.
Oh, is this a German language movie?
Yeah, I believe so. His filmography involves both English and German language films. And like before he started making English language films, he made about 3 or 4 German films as well. And all this brings us back to September the 1st, 2024, the date I mentioned a little while ago. And on September the 1st, 2024, Gary Otto, at the behest of Boll, launched an Indiegogo campaign to take another swing at financing Postal 2, asking potential backers for $2.5 million on a 31-day flexible goal campaign.
So was that, remind me, was that a larger budget than the first swing or same budget?
It is a larger one. He asked for $500,000 when he first did this.
I'm just curious.
On a 60-day campaign, he asked for $500,000. This time around, he's going $2.5 million on a 31-day campaign.
It almost feels like he wants it to fail again just so that he can kind of prove a point and maybe get a private backer or some private backers. I don't know about that, though.
Well, a flexible goal campaign, though, would, I guess, give him the option to say, like, all right, yeah, we raised 500,000. Great, we'll make the movie for 500,000.
Oh, right, like you keep that amount of money even if it's not the initial goal, right?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, like unlike say Kickstarter where if you don't meet the goal you don't get the money. This I think is you keep whatever you raise.
This is exactly the difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Okay.
Flexible goal campaign means that if you don't make your goal, you still keep the money. In Kickstarter, generally, if you don't make your goal, the money goes back to the investors. So that is a key distinction, which is going to come up in a minute. So let's talk about this Indiegogo campaign. So the pitch, such that it was, which like the 2013 Kickstarter reads like it was written by Uwe Boll himself, is mostly a rant about how the world needs Uwe Boll's Postal 2 now more than ever because cancel culture and those woke liberal snowflakes killed comedy. Opening his pitch, quote, "When I first did Postal, I had no clue at the time that it would turn into the timeless cult classic, which it has today. Cult classic is capitalized for some reason. And I had no clue that after us, comedy flat out died. Currently, we are living in two ins. We're living in a world where people desperately need to laugh. But the political correctness, algorithm bullshit, woke and cancel culture destroyed all potentially funny content. To do Postal 2 is almost a duty for the freedom of art, speech, and our lives moving forward in general. This campaign represents a rebellion against the big players who want to brainwash us, who try to conform us into happy, agreeable sheep, passively in step with their shitty politics. End quote.
So he like Tom Cruise or Christopher Nolan is like, I'm saving cinema, damn it.
Let nothing stop you from giving money to Uwe Boll.
Yeah, well, I guess if he has enough fans who want his vision of cinema to thrive, power to him. We'll see how this goes.
Let's talk a little bit about those fans. So, in addition to all of that I just said, he also added that many people who liked his original Postal film watched it for free through piracy or streaming, which to hear Uwe tell it, I guess he doesn't get any money from streaming, just the way this is characterized. So all of those freeloaders who watched his self-proclaimed capital C cult, capital C classic, need to fund his Indiegogo because they owed him. Quote, we need to beak. I think he meant to say break. We need to beak free, and the offered perks are all okay, but also bullshit at the same time because all of you should make that film, all of that was in all caps, all of you should make that film happen based on what I just wrote, meaning the thing I just read before. We die fighting, and we never give up. Postal was seen by over 100 million people, and 99% of them watched us for free on pirate sites or torrents or illegal YouTube links, Tubi, Prime, etc. I guess he doesn't get money from Tubi or Prime, even though he's the one I think goes to put them on there because it's his distribution company. Anyway, you paid nothing and you love it. If you love it, now you pay up. Now you pay up is in all caps. It's about the future of all of us, that we don't let us get censored and pushed around. I was, and still are, the director who gives a shit, and I think funny starts there, where Karens and woke assholes cry for help and feel very, very insulted. End quote.
I guess I would say, as artists who feel like their fans were stealing their work go, I would rather I prefer this tactic of simply trying to bully your fans into backing your Indiegogo than, say, Metallica's stance of suing the fans. So, there's one win for you, Uwe.
Stop clock, right? You do not have to hand it to Uwe Boll. That's my stance. Yeah, so his whole thing is like, oh, you all owe me, because that's a thing he said in the past is like when he tried to pitch the first Kickstarter campaign was like so many people love this movie. Everyone comes up to me and asks me to sign their copies of Postal. Yet at the same time, he would also complain that like these same people were killing indie filmmaking because they're pirating their movies online. So yeah, he says because, cancel culture killed comedy, he needs to save comedy. But at the same point, all those people who streamed his movie or downloaded his movie illegally owe him. So they need to pay him back, basically. And that's why give me money. Give me money now. He concluded his opening pitch, noting that while he offered perks for funding the project, which we'll go over in a minute, like we did the last ones, these kinds of incentives shouldn't matter so long as you gave Uwe Boll your money. Concluding, quote, if somebody doesn't want that fucking perks, then just donate or invest. Invest is in all caps, and pre-buy a part of Postal, a part of the worldwide revenues the film will make. I don't know if that means that like you can actually get the returns, but that seems to be what he's suggesting. You contact me or Gary will get you in touch with me. I am dead serious. Uwe Boll. End quote. How we all doing?
That's vaguely threatening. Contact me or Gary. We'll get you in touch with me or else.
I wonder if anybody has ever tried this for a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. We're trying to raise $1 million or 5 million or whatever, and hey, if you invest 50,000 or more, you get X percent of whatever profit we make. I wonder if anybody's ever tried. So basically, Kickstartering to get just like regular old-fashioned investors.
Yeah. I would be curious if that's against the terms of service for something like Kickstarter. Indiegogo, who knows, but like I'm just curious, like that does feel like an interesting tech. If it was available, I'd be as surprised that folks haven't used it yet. I also, Andy, that wasn't where I thought you were. I thought you were going to say, I wonder if anyone's tried this with a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, open threats and intimidation.
That's what I was thinking too. It's almost this is like the Kickstarter equivalent of like pulling a gun on someone, having a bag, stick them up, put the money in the bag.
You know what's so interesting for me also with at least the way that these interactions are being portrayed in this podcast here between Uwe Boll and his fan base, whether it's over Twitter or the Kickstarter stuff or what have you. It seems like it's very adversarial, and so that I mean it's like it starts out with like watch the movie, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it, or so as opposed to like, hey, watch my movie, I think you might like it, that sort of thing, where it's like very challenging and stressful to maintain a relationship with people you have to maintain a relationship with because they are essentially your customers when that's the position you take. It is just an observation.
I think, and you'll appreciate this kid. I think that Uwe Boll is an early example of a lol cow. Where like he's definitely one of those people who like people gravitated to in the 2000s because his movies were not terribly good. And then it became for a while very fashionable on segments of the internet, like on IMDb, to basically shit on Uwe Boll because they, again, people made websites about this guy, people made petitions about this guy. And the thing about Uwe Boll is that he's clearly starved for attention. He wants people to give attention to him. We've talked about like the lines that Zach Ward said about, he wants people to carry him out of the theater on their shoulders. And like the fact that he is like compulsively incapable of letting any of this go and he needs to respond. And people know that if they post things to Uwe Boll, he will respond to them. So I wonder if there's a certain segment of that too going on with Uwe.
He's a bit of a reply guy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is also worth mentioning that like there are certain segments that like I guess unironically like Uwe. I didn't put this in the script, but I think it's worth mentioning that like the Gamergate crowd gravitated to Uwe Boll. And some of that is probably because he made Postal, which of course, Running with Scissors embraced the Gamergate crowd. And they've set themselves up as like an anti-woke game studio. And I think to a certain extent, people gravitated towards Uwe Boll for that. I also feel it's worth mentioning that the Kickstarter is an interesting example. Again, going back to the lolcow thing, one thing that Kickstarter got people access to was the updates in the comments section of the Kickstarter, and Uwe would message people directly. So I think that in certain level in that Kickstarter, we didn't talk about this, people got unfettered access to Uwe. And again, because he can't let things go, he responds.
You wouldn't think that the folks in the comment section, that the backers would be like, I'm sorry, shouldn't you be filming?
But I kind of went in a lot of directions there. There's got all that's to say, like Uwe has a really complicated relationship when it comes to the internet, whereas clearly he wants adulation from these people who found it very funny to make fun of him because he would respond to that. But also there are some people within this that started to unironically like him too. But at the same point, he's very bitter. You can see there's a certain bitterness about like, he wants this movie to make, or maybe he doesn't want this movie to make, just like he just wants more attention. But so let's carry that a little further. We've heard about the Indiegogo pitch. Now, the same day that Uwe launched the Indiegogo campaign, Boll also put out a 28-minute, 12-second live stream video on his personal YouTube channel explaining more details of the project. And by explaining more details of the project, I mean launching a bitter rant about all the things he's mad about. These included how he hated the Barbie movie, especially America Ferrera's speech near the end. By the way, he cleverly calls her Latin America Ferrera, just so you know what kind of guy Uwe is.
Comedy genius.
Yes. Comedy's dead. Uwe needs to save it. So yeah, he says this thing about America Ferrera, Academy Award nominee America Ferrera. He also yelled at Ain't It Cool News writer Harry Knowles, whom he calls, quote, a fat fuck in a wheelchair, end quote, for writing a bad review of Postal back in the day. He also complained about a Vulture article for naming Postal the worst video game movie ever made in an August 12th, 2024 article ranking all the video game movies that had been out at that point. He talks about all about this in this video. He also equated Palestinians with terrorists and begged Elon Musk to fund his movie to own the libs, which is an interesting callback to the original Postal movie because in there, Boll plays himself and admits financing his movies with Nazi gold, and in pandering to Musk, it now appears he's trying to do that for real this time.
Which of them has actually, so at least in Uwe Boll's case, yeah, that was, supposedly ironic jokes in the first Postal movie. So yeah, Uwe Boll and Elon Musk, which of them has actually unironically given the Heil salute at a public event? I'm not sure.
To be fair, Elon Musk didn't zig heil once. He zig heiled twice.
Yeah, once might be an accident. Twice is hard to say that was accidental.
Uwe also called Postal an international cult classic. That's his words, international cult classic. While also complaining that most people who are fans of the movie, quote, watched it for free, end quote, through illegal downloads, and, quote, now it's time to pay up, end quote, through his Indiegogo campaign. Later accusing Postal movie fans, presumably the people from whom he's actively asking for money, of destroying independent filmmaking with their piracy.
And again, I'm just going back to the thing that you mentioned about like what can constitute someone's behavior that could label them something like a quote unquote lol cow. And it is both the I have to bite back, I have to respond to everything that others say, and it is also this sort of, again, adversarial relationship with your audience. You're constantly engaging with your audience, but you're trying to consistently gain the upper hand with your audience in every conversation. You're trying to, not just wanting to be carried on everyone's shoulders out of the theater, but like wanting to win everything. Win, not just like win the Kickstarter or win the Indiegogo. I want to win every argument. I want to win, not even an argument, a conversation. I want to win every interaction I have. I want to come out personally right and personally on top, regardless of what that actually means for the outcome of the situation. I think honestly at that point, he doesn't even give a shit whether or not he makes this movie. If he made all that money and more to make the movie, I don't even know that it would have necessarily gotten made. Maybe it would have. I'm not saying he would have like run off with the money or anything, but like this seems so much less about I want to actually make this movie and so much more about I just want to find ways to win. And if I lose, it's your fault. And I still win because you're all losers.
Yeah, I also, skipping ahead, question his sincerity on this. But anyway, so yeah, Uwe, this long video where he's just complaining and complaining and complaining. To say he covers a lot in just short of a half an hour would be an understatement, having watched through this whole thing. However, were you to subject yourself to it like I did, you might have noticed something missing from his pitch for a Postal 2 movie, namely any concrete plans to make a Postal 2 movie. And looking over the details of the Indiegogo campaign, I remain skeptical of Uwe's sincerity that he is, in his words, dead serious about making Postal 2. Allow me to explain. Uwe has many faults, which we've covered on the show. He's a troll, he's a bully, he is not a very good director, and he constantly shifts blame when his projects fail. However, I feel one of his strengths based on his filmmaking history is project management. Like, he knows how to run a project. Despite his output, he developed a reputation for delivering films on time and under budget, albeit with a caveat that he cuts lots of corners, such as filming movies without scripts. You also don't get to put out over 30 indie movies, several which have major theatrical distribution, without possessing some skills in the persuasive art of liberating German dentists from their money. And I feel the same goes for getting named talent to join your project. Like, not for nothing, a lot of really recognizable names have worked with Uwe Boll. And sure, he's promising them a short shoot and an easy paycheck. But accounts I've read from actors who've worked with Uwe generally view the experience positively. On paper, he knows how to bring a film project from idea to completion. He has a track record of that. That said, putting the 2024 Indiegogo campaign up against the 2013 Kickstarter one, and the two are like night and day from a project pitch standpoint. For one, the Kickstarter names specific people connected to the project, including pledged cast and crew members, and his backer rewards, as we covered, as silly and as narcissistic as many of them are clear and specific. None of that is the case with the Indiegogo. Most of the pitch is him complaining about, you name it, the Hollywood mainstream, movie franchises, wokeness, and he's pretty scant on the kinds of details that generally make for an effective campaign, such as a clear development timeline, other potential fundraising avenues, or people connected with the project that are not named Uwe Boll. The closest that we get is his assertion that he wants Postal 2 out in time for the 2026 Toronto International Film Festival, but that is pretty much it. The backer rewards are also much more trollish and unhinged this time around, which is saying something given what we covered in our last episode.
Yeah, because I was going to say a lot of them were already kind of parody proof to begin with.
I promise we will not devote a lot of time to this because there aren't very many of them. But here we go. Here are the ones they had for the Indiegogo. For $250, Uwe will sing karaoke to the song of your choice under his musician alias Uwulous-B.
Like at your birthday or something, or like over Zoom, or what to himself in the shower, and you just got to take his word for it. Like, I mean,
I presume in like a YouTube video or something. I've looked up Uwulous-B. He sometimes will just sing a song in his name. Hey there, fellow netizens. This is Kevin in the editor's chair. I'm not going to not share a song by Uwulous-B, so I hope you'll tune in to the very, very end of this episode. It will be replacing our typical outro, so hopefully you'll tune in for that. Anyway, back to the show. All right. $666 entitles you to 15 minutes with Uwe Boll.
again, I'm gonna need some context.
Get it? 666? Get it? These are the jokes, folks.
Meanwhile, $1,500 gets you the privilege to, quote, do lunch with Boll, end quote.
1,500. What was the... Do you have in front of you what was the pledge level before that would let you go out to dinner with Uwe Boll?
Give me a second. That was $5,000, was dinner and a movie with Uwe Boll.
Well, this is just lunch, so maybe we're going somewhere cheaper. Does it say who's paying for the lunch in this one? Is it him or because I remember you had to pay for a lot of your own expenses with the other one.
I mean, for $1,500, I assume you've paid for it in there.
No, but I mean, are you also picking up the bill for lunch? Because again, in the other Kickstarter, there were a number of price tiers where it was like, oh, and by the way, you have to pay your own air and your own hotel and everything else.
That's a great question. He doesn't cover that.
See, he's got himself a loophole. He's just manufacturing that awkward moment when you get to the cash register and it's like, hmm?
He sits there when the check comes out. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't even reach for his wallet.
He just pulls out his phone, starts playing games.
Goes to the bathroom, never comes back. Okay, so that was for $1,500. The next one, for $50,000. $50,000. You can spend the day at Disney World with Uwe Boll.
Oh, God.
Hey, want to see me kick Goofy's ass?
Kevin, I love you. I barely want to spend a day at Disney World with you, or anybody for that matter. It's a very stressful experience.
I couldn't help but think of the joke of Werner Herzog in Parks and Recreation. I want to be near Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And so the final tier, for a scant $1 million, according to the description, quote, you are Uwe Boll in Postal 2, end quote.
What does that mean?
Oh, so like you get to play him, and he doesn't want to play himself, I guess, this in the second time?
I can take that one of two ways. Either it means you get to play Uwe Boll in Postal 2. And in the old Kickstarter, in the messages in the Kickstarter, because again, you could message Uwe directly, he claimed that his character survived being shot in the dick in the first one.
Oh, God.
And that would be back in some way. So maybe we've got like a Mecha Hitler situation with Uwe in the second one.
I can survive that.
So you can take it one of two ways. Either one, you were playing Uwe Boll in the movie, or maybe that means you get to become Uwe Boll in Direct Postal 2.
He's like, as long as my name's on it, I don't actually care who does the directing. I just want people paying attention to me and my name.
I was thinking it might have been like a VR situation, like, he will still be in his own movie, but like there's like a VR headset you can wear so you can like experience it.
The Uwe Boll VR experience.
Give him any ideas.
Level 1 is poorly making movies. Level 2 is beating up internet critics.
And level 3 is posting on the internet.
Yeah, level 3 is internet posting. All right. So yeah, those don't sound real in terms of like goals for this really real project. And on top of that, there are other red flags. For example, unlike Kickstarter, where pledges only get paid out if the campaign reaches its minimum goal, Indiegogo crucially allows the project creators to keep the money regardless if it meets his goal, meaning a donation to Uwe Boll is money you'll never see again that he is under no obligation to either return to or turn into a finished product. To make matters worse, the pitch is pretty wishy-washy over whether Uwe would use the money to make his Postal sequel, even if he got the money from fans to do so, or if he would pour it into another project, hinting that he would throw the money into a spiritual sequel to his 1992 comedy German Fried Movie, tentatively called California Fried Movie. All of this is to say that there were plenty of reason to believe that this was a massive troll campaign from Uwe in an attempt to get some quick attention.
And a bit of quick capital for his Kentucky Fried Movie parody, sounds like.
Why doesn't he just, sell some bogus supplements like everybody else on the internet does?
Uwe took the high road when it came to right-wing grifters, All right, so it looks like, just looking at this thing, it just seems like he's trolling people. Like, it seems like he has no interest in making a Postal 2. It looks like he's just interested in riling people up and getting a little bit of attention because, of course, that is going to happen if Uwe Boll comes back. Uwe Boll claims he's making a Postal 2 movie. I think he knows on a certain level he's going to get some level of attention for that. He's going to get online coverage. The gaming press will come back to him. And were that all the case, that he was just trying to get attention, it certainly succeeded. Because Uwe Boll's Postal 2 project took pretty much everyone by surprise. And by everyone, I mean everyone, even people who should have been notified in advance about a new Postal movie, namely the company that owns the rights to the Postal franchise, our old friends Running with Scissors.
It would have been really funny if that were one of the stretch goals of the campaign. I actually pay for the license to do this
Yeah.
movie.
I will, in fact, let the studio know that I'm doing this.
For $10,000, I'll let Vince Desi know I'm doing this. Speaking of Vince, on September the 1st, same day this thing gets pitched, Running with Scissors head Vince Desi took a well-deserved break from his full-time job spouting MAGA talking points on his socials to put out a statement on Boll's film project, which was subsequently reposted on the company's official social media, writing, quote, "The official position of Running with Scissors that we do not it's in all caps, support this fundraising effort. I have no fucking idea who Gary Otto, the project owner, is. No one has contacted us about this effort, and it's a major concern that he clearly states he can use any funds raised for another project. For the record, I like Uwe, and I look forward to the day our fans can see a new Postal movie, but not like this," end quote.
So first of all, he better watch his mouth. I think Uwe is going to kick his butt for insulting his boy, Gary.
I think that's why he was kind of couching it with like, and hey, for the record, I like Uwe. Please don't hurt me. All I'm saying is...
But yeah, that is so neat that for as much of a huckster as Vince Desi is, that is a totally legit concern. Like, hey guys, he might just walk away with your money and do whatever the hell he wants with it. We're happy to take your money for ourselves and deliver some kind of product. It might be a shitty one, but it'll be an actual game that runs and you can play whether you enjoy it or not. But this guy might not even do that much.
Yeah, it is very weird to see. This is Vince Desi's red line. This is the thing where he was like, okay, this is too much, Uwe. This is where he's going to make a principled stance. And he's not wrong. The stop clock is right twice a day. Like, he's not wrong about pointing out that, Uwe, on top of not getting permission from us, he basically said he's made no commitment to making this movie. And he claims he might do it for someone. It's like, don't fucking give him money.
Yeah, if you read, it sounds like he was saying if you read the not so fine print of the Indiegogo, he's literally saying even there, yeah, I could also use it for whatever I want, including this other movie.
Yeah. And a bunch of people on Uwe's socials on X made similar comments of is this really a joke? And why didn't you check with Running with Scissors first variety? And apparently Gary Otto got off the platform for a little bit due to people harassing him.
Not Gary.
Yeah, poor Gary Otto.
Yeah, who's that?
That's the guy who launched the Indiegogo campaign.
Oh, right. No,
Uwe.
sorry. I forgot.
Yeah, so Gary Otto's he's been a producer with Uwe Boll
Right,
in his older movies, and he's a co-host with him on his podcast.
Right.
And it sounds like he did this because Uwe asked him to. He made this out there, and a bunch of people started like directing harassment at him to the point that he left X for a little bit. So 2 days later, on September the 3rd, 2024, Uwe put out a statement on his socials that he was suspending the campaign to fund Postal 2 or California Fried Movie or whatever else he was planning. Although he did add, quote, "doesn't mean we won't shoot the film," end quote. Reiterating that the campaign was all his idea and to stop being mean to Gary Otto on social media.
If I don't do it, it's because I want to not. Again, it doesn't mean we're not going to do it. It doesn't mean you discouraged me from doing it. It just means, you don't get to participate now, but we might still make it, and I won't let you watch it.
I would love it if Uwe Boll made a Leave Britney Alone video, but for Gary Otto.
Leave Gary alone! He pulled the campaign from Indiegogo, but it did raise some money. Do you want to guess how much money this raised before Uwe Boll pulled it?
I'll guess like $5,000.
I guess 10 grand.
It earned a whopping $850 on 16 pledges.
Because
Wow.
the internet is full of people who are going to give money to surprising causes. Glad to hear that that's the case there.
Now, if only Uwe's campaign had been I've been fired for saying the N-word. Then he would have easily made all of his money.
Yeah, his mistake was not going full right-wing grifter, and like cancel culture has ruined this. And I guess maybe that would involve saying that running with scissors is cancel culture. He's splitting his audience. So yeah, he earned $850 in 16 pledges. Like I said, though, with Indiegogo, that means Uwe gets to keep that money. And according to a September the 4th, 2024 report on this whole debacle by Joshua Wollens of PC Gamer, Boll and Otto offered those would-be backers a box set of Uwe Boll movies in exchange for their money.
That's interesting. If you're the kind of person who contributed to his campaign, you probably would like such a gift. But you're also probably the kind of person who already owns his movies.
Yeah, did he at least autograph them or something? Maybe something special? I
You
mean,
should hope so.
for what it's worth, I appreciate that he tried to give something to the people who gave the money, right? Like we've heard there's Kevin, I can get you the title of it for the editor's chair, and I don't even know if you want to put this in the episode, but like there's this um really, 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 really indie movie about a talking dog that it's the guy who played Shrek in the musical of the stage musical was in it. He's like the only person who's really famous, and he talks about how the woman who made the movie lost her funding a chunk of the way through because basically she was paid by the studio to make an ultra Christian movie, and she didn't. She just made the movie she wanted to make. They found out about that and they pulled their funding, and so he talked about how at one point she met him at the studio gate when he was coming to do voiceover, like ADR recording, and she was like basically she's like, I don't have money to pay you. Here's what I have. And she gave him like a bag of wontons and two honeydew melons. And she's like, this is literally what I have that I can give to you. And he took it and he said, I took that and I did the ADR work to finish my role in the movie. And I took the wontons, I ate the wontons and I ate the honeydew and they were delicious, you know. And it's like, well, she was trying to do right by him, I guess.
Start paying actors in barter.
I mean, that's what she was doing because she literally had money to do anything with the movie. And I do not get the impression she had the sort of money that I'm assuming Uwe Boll has to do stuff like here. He probably has a garage full of like box sets of his movies, I'm guessing. So it's more like, here, you take this.
It was his distribution company, so yeah, it could be like, a garage full of Blood Rain 2 or whatever.
Mm.
Hey there, fellow netizens. This is Kevin in the editor's chair with a brief add-on to this part. The movie that Kate was referring to in this whole weird exchange is the 2011 romantic comedy Love on a Leash, which is one of those movies that's been making the bad movie circuit. For example, How Did This Get Made and The Flophouse both did episodes on it, and I'll include some links to information about this movie in the description. Anyway, back to the show.
So yeah, this whole thing. And after that, the internet went back to what counts as normal these days. Vince Desi went back to fawning over Donald Trump, sharing conspiracy theories about everything from election fraud to the January 6th insurrection to Benghazi to Obama's citizenship status, retweeting hot takes from the likes of Tim Pool, Elon Musk, and libs of TikTok, and occasionally posting straight up white supremacist shit. So that's where Vince is these days.
You know, it seems like he needs a hobby. Maybe we should all put our money together online so that they can make another game. Maybe like another Postal game.
Yeah, tune in for Postal 5, which will come out in 2050. And Uwe also returned to his nearly full-time jobs of podcasting and right-wing shitposting. However, even if Uwe couldn't save comedy from the woke mob, it didn't stop him from making more movies. He put out 2 films in 2024 alone, a crime drama called First Shift that has nobody I recognize in it, and a German language documentary about the Bandidos motorcycle gang called, and apologies to our German listeners, Bandidos, ein Leben zwischen Freiheit und Geistig, which is Bandidos, a life between freedom and law. In 2025, this year, he has 2 movies in either production or post-production as of this recording. One is a film about African migrants to Europe called Run. I don't want to know what Uwe's take is on that. But unlike the other movies I just mentioned, this actually has some named actors, including Amanda Plummer, best known as Honey Bunny from Pulp Fiction, daughter to Christopher Plummer, Costas Mandylor. I know Kate knows who Costas Mandylor is.
Yes, I know Costas Mandylor.
Mac Haffman from.
I seen the franchise.
Yeah, from the Saw. Costas Mandylor plays a character in the later Saw movies, as well as Barkhad I Am the Captain Now Abdi from Captain Phillips. The other movie that he has in post-production right now as of this recording is yet another Boll movie about an aggrieved white dude who turns to vigilante violence. Again, something of a pattern we've seen in his movies. This one was originally called, and this is real, The Dark Knight, spelled exactly the same way as the 2008 Christopher Nolan film.
Now, to be clear, my understanding is that in Hollywood, it's not like against trademark or anything like that to name your movie the same thing as another movie. It's just really considered very bad etiquette and bad judgment to do so. Bad judgment in the sense that, if you are genuinely trying to make your own movie and not get it confused with something else, that's going to just create confusion. But in this case, it's like it's just considered poor etiquette, right? Like, I mean, famously, my understanding is that David Cronenberg kind of really didn't appreciate that. I don't know the name of the person who directed that. This was 2008 movie Crash, used the title Crash because he already had a film that was well established with that name.
Especially when it's a film that is fairly well regarded, that had a really big cultural impact. It's like if you named your movie Citizen Kane, you know? If you're curious, because I said that Uwe Boll was on Letterboxd and he would put trollish reviews, he did review Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, and you might be curious of what he said about that movie. He said, quote, "Edgy for 2-year-olds, fucking garbage," end quote.
Succinct, direct and to the point.
Uwe's a man of few words because he doesn't direct with scripts. Folks were quick to point out that naming your movie after a widely seen and generally well-regarded popular film is not a great look. And among those to call Boll out in this regard were Warner Brothers. You know, the people who made that movie. According to Boll, Warner Brothers sent him a cease and desist, strongly encouraging him to change the title. However, Boll explained on his podcast that he would not change the name of his movie about a lone vigilante taking the law into his own hands who gains popular support while the police try to bring him in because his movie is a totally different story than what you'd see in some crappy Batman movie from 17 years ago. Listen, Warner Brothers, my movie about a brooding anti-hero who takes the law in his own hands is totally different from your movie about a brooding anti-hero who takes the law into his own hands.
Man, I'm stuck on the idea that this could basically just be a spiritual successor to Postal. Anyway, it sort of sounds like. I mean, so does he actually have so much, assuming that his desire to make a Postal movie is at all genuine, does he just have that much attachment to the brand? Or is it just that he knows Postal has some sort of built-in fan base? I want to just tap into that.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about him. Like, he's done this shtick before of the kind of aggrieved white dude. He did it in Postal. He did it in his Rampage trilogy. He did it in Assault on Wall Street. Like, he's done this over and over again. This is kind of a thing he keeps going back to. Boll also noted, in terms of his Dark Knight movie, and said the cease and desist, he also noted it was only fair that he borrowed the title because Warner Brothers had done it to him already when they put out their 2018 film adaptation of the video game Rampage. Warner Bros. Was the distributor of that movie, blatantly ripping off the name of his Rampage trilogy, explaining, quote, "DC and Warner already contacted me and said I can't use the title. I understand that, but I told them, guys, remember Rampage, the Rock movie? You used my title. The fact that they did that and called me for permission, they could show gratefulness and say, listen, it's not a Batman movie, and you can use the title," end quote. They were not persuaded, and Boll eventually relented, announcing on April the 3rd, 2025, that the film's title had been changed to Citizen Vigilante. It's a little bit more generic title this time. Not too far from my Citizen Kane joke either. As with his other films, Boll attracted some name talent to his Dark Knight picture. For his leading role, Uwe cast a notable young actor who had recently fallen on hard times and was hungry to get back into the spotlight. Armie Hammer.
Oh boy.
What do y'all know about Armie Hammer?
Oh, a lot.
Is he said to be like a cannibal or something?
He's said to have been abusive in relationships with women, and specifically he's allegedly got a fetish for cannibalism. It bounces between whether he's actually cannibalized anyone or he just is really, really way too into the idea of cannibalizing and brutalizing women. I know he was in the Lone Ranger, and some of this alleged scandal broke after that, and he basically became unhireable. He went on some news show and talked about how he was like, he's on hard financial times, and like, I believe had to sell his home, he said, and things like that, because he could not get hired in Hollywood.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll keep this brief because we're near the end of this tale anyway. But it's possible people know Armie Hammer from one of three things. One, his roles in high-profile films, including The Social Network, Death on the Nile, Call Me by Your Name, and The Birth of a Nation, but not that Birth of a Nation. The second might be his laundry list of abuse allegations. And his third might be when he told partners he was into cannibalism. And yeah, he had become a bit of a pariah in Hollywood as of late. And I wonder who comes off as worse off in this pairing, Uwe Boll or Armie Hammer. On the one hand, Uwe is giving a second chance to an actor who, given his past history, absolutely does not deserve one. On the other hand, how much of a pariah do you have to be in Hollywood to stake your acting comeback on the mind that gave us Postal? In any case, joining Hammer for his big comeback is the aforementioned Costas Mandylor, who appears to be entering the Boll staple of actors, and pretty much nobody else. I anticipate seconds after this movie gets unceremoniously dropped into Tubi, we'll start hearing Uwe blaming wokeness or the Hollywood mainstream or mean internet critics or bad deals with distributors or whatever other scapegoat he wants to assign to what I predict will be his latest directorial failure.
I mean, that could be a strategy that he comes up with moving forward, is like strategically casting actors who have been canceled, both A, because he knows he's got him over a barrel, and B, if the movie flops, then, oh, well, it's just cancel culture. Again, I win.
It is possible, but it's also like that's kind of the same argument that like Angel Films and a bunch of these like ostensibly right wing and like the Daily Wire productions are trying to do too.
Right, and that working for them.
Yeah, it's not working great, although they are like they cater to a specific clientele at that point. I don't think Uwe's gotten to that point yet, but we'll see. But all that's to say, final thoughts.
Uwe Boll's a reactionary piece of shit.
Yeah, what else can you say about Uwe? We've gone on quite a journey with this guy and the degrees to which he seems to try to go for attention. And I do think it's interesting, the idea about like what ways will he pivot for audiences if he really is serious about coming back into the movies? Will he go like the Daily Wire route, the Angel Film route kind of thing? But I guess we'll see. We're back now in a world with Uwe making movies again. So,
Yay.
and with that, that will do it for today's episode of Scandalous Games. If you like what we're doing and want to help the show, subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a rating. If you want to learn more, check out our website, scandalousgamespodcast.wordpress.com, where I publish the show notes and the sources for every episode. Our theme music is Occam Secret by Seek Knowledge via the Free Music Archive, used under a CC BY NCSA 3.0 US license. If you have a question, comment, or idea for a topic for a future episode, email us at scandalousgamespodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Kevin Impellizeri.
I'm Andy Hunter.
I'm Kate.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Scandal. Subscribe to Fat Roll Gaming on YouTube and listen to So We Were Talking About Beast Wars wherever you get your podcasts.